Hey, Tull Skulls, Nick here. Just a friendly warning, I guess. About halfway through, apparently my mic had a fit, and it sounds like I am underwater and a robot. It sticks through most of the rest of the episode, unfortunately, but I'm pretty sure it's cleaned up for future episodes. So I apologize. We didn't want to re-record because there's some really good content in here, us talking about Sheep Day Return and the album itself. So please bear with me. I tried to edit myself out as much as possible, so it is a bit Omen heavy on the latter half of the episode, but no one really complains about that. Everybody loves Omen. So bear with me. Sorry about the technical details, and enjoy. Thanks.
Purchase your ticket from the large metallic box, secure yourself a window seat, and write a strongly worded letter to your senator asking for more robust governmental investment in public transportation.
Because it's time to talk Tull to me.
I am Omen Sade.
And I am Nick McGill.
We are Feckless Moans, and this is Talk Tull to Me. A deep health check into your Tull vital signs, a check of your Tull pressure, and an in-depth analysis of your flute lipids with Dr. Ian Anderson himself.
We take blood samples and check that you have more of the good cholesterol than the bad cholesterol.
And we will write you a prescription for 30 milligrams of prog rock.
Stat.
Take 2 and call me in the morning.
Take 2 flutes and repeat as needed.
So, Nick, here we are.
Here we are, Omen.
I never thought this day would come, but here we are, ankle, maybe even calf deep in Aqualung.
That's right. That's right. My toes are getting numb.
I've got flute water coming in over my waders, and I couldn't be happier.
Oh, flute water? Is that from the spit valve?
Yeah. Yeah, you have to shake it out.
It's slightly warm Scottish spit.
Mm-hmm.
Scotch spit.
Skspit. McSpit. That was too easy.
Oh, gosh. Omen, this week, do you have
Yes.
anything that needs to be addressed?
Regarding the podcast? No, I do not. Do you?
Omen, do you have anything that needs to be addressed outside of the podcast?
Oh, so many things, Nick, but that's a conversation I'm going to have next week with my therapist.
I have no emails, no addenda, no...
Oh.
What else do we have? We had one more sting. I don't remember what it was.
Reviews,
I guess. Yeah. No, we got nothing.
Wow.
So with nothing to be addressed, we can jump right into the song for this week.
Fantastic. I feel like I'm standing on an infinite white plain of ice with no geographical features. This must be what the afterlife feels like, Nick.
The Elysian ice fields?
The Elysian ice fields where you have no cell reception, so there's no point in looking at your phone.
But you do anyway, because sometimes you think it's vibrating, but it's not.
Right. Yeah. Well, sometimes I just go and look through old pictures.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, you just stuck with the memories.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And that's the afterlife. So, Nick, what are we listening to this week?
Really dark. This week, we are listening to the first of our really lovely little acoustic numbers, just over a minute long. It is Sheep Day Return.
Let's have a petite listen.
Good French.
Thank you.
Ooh. How just
Right.
lovely.
right in my tiny little heart.
Yeah. That is... It's so beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. That's one of those songs that in all the years of listening to Jethro Tull, anytime that I hear that, even if I listen to it intentionally, it totally catches me off guard.
Really?
Yeah, I have to stop whatever I'm doing and just pay my full attention to that song for its short duration.
It helps that it's short, so you don't want to miss anything, but also it feels like it's easy to miss because it's so short.
It demands your attention in a really peculiar way.
I agree, and I think because of the very quick change from Aqualung to Cross-Eyed Mary into Cheap Day Return.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if you phased out for those last two, like, it's such a drastic switch that alone will pull you back.
Yeah, it's such a stylistical change.
Yeah.
Which is good, because I think that if we're talking about the experience of listening to the album, straight through,
Mm-hmm.
let's go on a mind adventure, Nick.
Let us.
Let's say it's 1971. We put on our corduroy bell-bottoms and fluffed our long hair and put on a leather vest and walked down to the record store in our high-heeled men's boots and bought the album Aqualung by Jethro Tull. And then I don't know, what else did people do in the 1970s? Drugs? And then we did drugs.
We did some drug.
We had some free love. And then we got home and we were exhausted. And so we took the album out of its cellophane and put it on our record player. And kaboom, there it is. There's Aqualung. By the time I have finished this story, I think that I may have remembered what the initial question was, Nick. But I don't remember what you asked me.
You just said we were going on a mind journey or something.
Well, was I wrong? Did I not deliver a mind journey? Listen,
my feet are tired.
I didn't say let's go to a mind destination, Nick.
Fair enough. We're lost.
So anyway, so then we listened to the first couple tracks, and those first two songs just hit you like a ton of sassy bricks.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're quite jarring and emotional, especially on account of all the drug that you've done, which you've still got a bit of on your vest. And then that third song, it just is like, it's like a ray of light breaking through the dimness. It's like a clean rain which washes away the carnival filth.
Wow. Very evocative.
And we're back.
Well, we made it. Oh, thank goodness.
Open your eyes. We're back in 2019.
Come back to us. I long for the experience of a new album for a band that I really like and hearing that first song for the first time. Like, I can't even put it into my mind. I can't even imagine what it was like, even for people who had been following Tull all along since '69, to go through those first three albums and then hear Aqualung, hear that da-na-na-na-na-na, like ears bleeding instantly.
In a good way.
Oh yeah, like fully rocked ears.
Yeah.
It's just Aqualung is such a change. It's such a change. And like you were saying, like we've been saying the last 3 weeks, that you hear those first two songs and you're thinking, oh man, is this whole album going to be like this? Not necessarily in a bad way, just like, holy cow, they've gotten really heavy. And then Cheap Day Return comes in. Just a little snippet, little nugget, about 1:15. And they're like, oh, they still got it. They can still play this nice, kind of like mellow, smooth acoustic.
Well, but also like this kind of playing isn't really featured on any other album. I mean, they not that they didn't play acoustically at all before, but there's a sophistication or a almost I want to say a maturity in this track
Mm-hmm.
that is not present in the first three albums.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
even when they were trying to go for something a little bit sweeter or quieter, it still came off as, I don't want to say adolescent, but sophomoric perhaps.
I was going to use that term. Yeah.
It's sort of like, you know, when you see the college kid on the quad with the guitar being like, I'm so wise, and you're like, shut
Yeah.
up. Get back in the bath.
Yeah, you grew up in Connecticut. You're fine.
Right. Not that there aren't rough parts of Connecticut.
Fair enough.
But this song evokes a real life experience, an experience of life, which has provided the writer with some real experiences. And if you fold that statement back on itself, another 15 times, you will have a blade as sharp as that of a samurai warrior, Nick.
You'll have a Mobius strip of nonsense.
So, Nick.
Yeah.
Would we? Okay, I'm torn because this song actually we could actually hear what Ian Anderson has to say about this song.
Okay.
But I sort of would like to hear what Feckless Momes has to say about this song first.
Sure. Great. I like that idea. Yeah.
I have some questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that it's both Ian and Martin Barr playing the guitar on this song? Two guitars? Or is it all Ian? Or is it all Martin?
Oh, is there a right answer to this? Like, do you know this answer?
No,
okay.
I'm asking you because I
Okay.
don't know.
I'm almost inclined to think there might be three guitars at some points. It
Huh.
feels very, very string heavy.
It's layered,
Yeah.
certainly.
Oh, it definitely is, yeah. I mean, traditionally we've seen Ian playing acoustic, right? Like these kind of
Right.
nicer, lighter pieces. Not to say Martin can't,
Right.
but I think up until this point we haven't really seen it. So maybe Martin's doing just the rhythm parts. I don't know. I don't know.
Let me see if I can look it up really quick. I'm curious.
I'm not sure this is a complaint. I think this is more just a statement of fact. Like, I can't differentiate guitar styles between Ian and Martin.
Right. I don't know that I could confidently do that either. I mean, there's a sound that I attribute to Ian.
Yeah, which is
And it
pretty much
it
just
is
the
this-
acoustic.
Yeah.
So unless we had liner notes, it's not. I'm sure somewhere it's available on the internet.
Yeah. But let's move on with our lives.
Yeah.
You know whose presence I do detect on this song?
Is that John Evan on Squeezebox?
I would say John Evan on Mellotron.
Oh, is there Mellotron in there?
I think there is. I think if you listen to that, especially like the introduction, you hear these tones which I think they sound like an acoustic instrument which has had its soul trapped in a robotic device and is being forced to reproduce those sounds.
They're always so quiet. So
I know.
quiet and so subtle in the back. I think I always miss
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I heard accordion though, right? Did you hear accordion?
I don't know that I did hear accordion.
Or am I thinking what I'm thinking is accordion, you're thinking of is mellotron,
And in fact it's some third instrument.
the accorditron, the melordian.
The Melordian. Oh, that's the new show that's on Disney Plus.
Oh, I like that. It's a bunch of Elizabethan servants. Melordian.
Yeah. Oh, that's quite good. So,
That's quite good. Yeah.
the other thing that I quite admire about this song is that even within a minute and 15 seconds, it takes us on a journey, a mind journey, if you will.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I can again, but
I'm exhausted. But it has a lot of movement within that short amount of time.
And there's at least 10 seconds of build-up where there's not even lyrics. There's intro to this song.
Oh, yeah. More than 10 seconds, I think.
I think so, too. I was being, what's the word? I was being conservative.
Yes.
That's the last time you'll ever hear that from me.
Now that we've breached the subject of lyrics,
Yeah.
why don't we dive right in?
Okay. Omen, what do you think this song is about?
Oh, Nick, if you were hoping to catch me off guard, I'm so sorry.
Damn.
This
It's a
first of
crapshoot.
all-
It's a crapshoot. I always get ones. I always get 2 ones.
Why don't we first define what a cheap day return is?
That is a good thing to define. It is,
since it's the title of the song.
Yeah, from my research, and it seems to make sense based on the context of the song, is it's an off-peak ticket, essentially.
Correct, yeah, exactly. A cheap day return.
Cheap day return.
As opposed to an expensive night voyage. An expensive night return.
Yeah.
I mean, fortunately for me, since I'm the one to whom you asked the question, this song is one of the more straightforward ones in terms of the lyrics, I think. One of the more sort of literal ones.
Yeah, I think so. But there are references to things that we don't necessarily know for sure what they are. Particularly the latter half of the song. The whole, does the nurse treat your old man the way she should? This always felt like me autobiographical almost. And I don't know. I don't know what the health of Mr. Anderson was at the time. So I don't know if Ian Anderson's dad was being seen to by a nurse. Completely and utterly guessing at this point. But it feels real to me.
Yeah, particularly because of the way that it's sung as well.
Yeah.
What if I told you, Nick, that I could give you a straight answer?
I would love a straight answer.
Straight from the lips of Daddy Anderson himself. By that I mean Ian Anderson, who's our Tull daddy, not the president of the Boiler Fluid Company, who is Ian Anderson's daddy.
Not Grandpa Tull. Daddy Tull.
Right.
Yeah, I would. This is one of those. I mean, most of them fall into this category, but this is one in particular that I would love to know an actual story behind it, or at least just an explanation.
Well, Nick, welcome to Feckless Mome's story time.
Tuck me in.
Regarding Cheap Day Return. Anderson. That was based on a trip to visit my father. In fact, Cheap Day Return and the song Nursey were both drawn from that. At the time, I was away from home and he was in hospital. I had not enjoyed a happy relationship with my father for some years, and around that time, we were starting to get along again. I was very aware that I might not see him again. I'm sure that for a lot of people my age, that's one of the things that you fear. Because when you're thousands of miles away and somebody very close to you dies at that moment, you feel very guilty, very much cut up at being denied an opportunity to make your final farewell with somebody. The possibility of all of this occurred to me on a Preston platform, waiting for a train back down south. So all of that was a sad and slightly nervous moment. I think I wrote that back on my way back on the train. But I do that on a lot of trains. That was an excerpt from the book A Passion Play, the story of Ian Anderson and Jethro Tull.
You know what that was, Omen?
What was that?
That accent was a mind journey.
It was a drifting accent.
That one was a little less stable than the last Ian we heard.
I'll have to go back and listen to the case files. Where did I lose it the most?
Again? I don't think he would say
Yeah,
again.
that was I don't know what I was thinking.
And there were 1 or 2 points where you sounded like a 20s newsman.
I was very aware that I might not see him again. And I'm sure that for a lot of people my age, you mean like that?
I had to get on the trolley. Yeah, something. I wish I remembered the phrase that really triggered it, but it was where I laughed. Go back and listen to where I laughed.
I felt like a 1920s news announcer a little bit. I apologize to every Brit.
And every Scot.
And every Scot. And to Ian Anderson himself. And to my college voice teacher.
We will add this to the list of apologies we owe Ian Anderson.
Put it on my tab. So there we have it.
So spot on. Pretty spot on. It is autobiographical.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's literal. The bit that gets interesting for me is, okay, it's literal. It's literally about this journey. Is the one moment where he comments on the facts. Because for most of it, it's really just facts. On press and platform, do your soft shoe shuffle dance. I mean, that's the sort of thing that whenever I'm waiting for a train and I'm anxious for any reason, there's sort of an aimless walk up and down that you do, isn't it?
But also, I think it might be in response to having cigarette ash fall down your pants too. It's I don't want to burn my jumblies.
Right, and then he wonders if the nurse is treating his old man the way that she should. And then my favorite bit, because it actually shows his opinion, is she made you tea, asked for your autograph. What a laugh.
Yeah. What are her priorities?
Well, and, this sort of interesting moment where he might be seeing his father for the last time. They've finally started to improve their relationship after years of it not being good. And his own success and fame is intruding on that extremely private moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a laugh.
It shows us, not that we really needed this. I mean, we see bits and pieces of it plenty thus far, but it shows us there's still some humanity underneath the stardom, quote unquote.
Yeah, and I think that's why this song is just so sweet, because it's coming from a very, very vulnerable place.
That is exactly the word I was going to use. It is so vulnerable.
Yeah.
And it's a very short little piece of vulnerability.
Yeah. He can't do much.
Whether it's him standing there on the platform and just these, maybe 16 lines come into his head and that's it, or he didn't feel comfortable showing any more, or maybe it just fit perfectly and that was all that he needed,
right.
In terms of catharsis or whatever.
Well, it's the lyrics are such that they, even though they're very short, they say a lot more than the thing that they're saying. It reminds me, not that the form is like this at all, but it reminds me of a haiku in a way. Because you say such few words, and yet in doing so you expose this massive space. If you that's the idea, I guess.
Yeah. Negative space is just as important.
Ooh. Which is sort of the intro in a way.
Yeah.
He first creates this huge sense of anticipation and tautness.
Mm-hmm.
And then just drops in this little examination of a singular moment, which is connected to a much bigger lifetime.
The intro to me almost feels like when you're standing on the platform, you're waiting for the train, and your mind is wandering, and you let it go to the point where you're not even thinking coherent thoughts, but you're still processing things. And then it's that incoherence kind of builds up into the song, the actual lyrics of that idea.
Sort of a moment, sort of a clarity coming to you out of this sort of agitation.
Yeah, it's kind of a miasma in your mind, and then something comes up out of the fog, and you realize what you've been dwelling on. Maybe it's been bugging him for the last 2 days, and he couldn't quite put his finger on it, you know?
Right. This is a very imagery-heavy episode, Nick.
Yeah, it is.
It is an episode which bows its branches loaded with the fruit of imagery down into the waiting mouth ears of our faithful listeners. Both of them.
And no one would be surprised when we reach for the lowest hanging of those fruits.
Well, the rest is sour grapes, isn't it?
Grapes don't grow on trees, Omen.
Oh, I've been living a lie. What were those things I ate? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's a short song.
It's a short song. Short episode.
Short song. Short episode. Or is it?
What do you got to talk about, Omen?
Well, I don't know if you remember, but certainly our listeners remember how in past episodes, occasionally we have reached into the archives and pulled out reviews of the albums.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, going back to an old friend of ours.
No.
No, not the same.
Oh, okay.
Not the same one. But the same publication. You may have heard of our friends over at Rolling Stone magazine.
Colleagues at best.
They're our bosses in the sense that we've never met and they don't pay us. Well, July 22nd, 1971 at 4 a.m. for some reason.
What?
This report from Ben Gerson came in.
It is Ben Gerson. We've seen him before.
Which one was he?
He was the one.
He wasn't the awful one, was
Yeah.
he? Ooh, he still works for Rolling Stone a year later.
Why at 4 a.m.? Like, why is that even a detail?
Because he has no friends, that's why.
Because Gerson gonna Gerson.
That's what they say.
Yep, that's what the kids are saying.
All right, are you
now.
ready?
Yeah, let me hear. Oh,
Now,
I hope he is just like tail between legs.
Now, don't get your hopes up. Are you ready?
I'm buckled up. I'm ready for this.
Dating from at least the Electric Prunes, Mass in D minor, rock and religion have evinced an unlikely affinity for each other.
Ben.
There's a lot more to go.
Already.
Eric Clapton, Peter Green, Jeremy Spencer, Peter Townsend, John Lennon, George Harrison, and let us not forget the Reverend Richard Penniman, have all at some point dedicated themselves and their music to God in his myriad varieties. On the heel of Tommy and Jesus Christ Superstar, Jethro Tull's Ian Anderson joins this heady list. Tull is one of our most serious and intelligent groups, and Anderson's choice of subject for Aqualung, the distinction between religion and God, is witness to that. Further, Tull has a musical sophistication to match its thematic ambitions. Where This Was, their first album, was aimless and disorganized,
He's not wrong.
Stand Up, with its dabbling in ethnic and classical forms, was eclectic in the best sense.
Okay.
Out of that experimentation was forged in Benefit a sound which finally provided the band with a concrete identity.
Huh, okay.
Once a group has arrived at a coherent style, the next logical step is a concept album. I don't know. I would argue with that logic.
Ben Gerson, Concept Gate. He's the first one in 1971 at 4 a.m.
Yeah. Once a group has arrived at a coherent style, the next logical step is a concept album, and it is on the shoals of concepts that many a band runs aground. Often, I'm pausing for everyone to process that nautical metaphor. Often, such albums lack the hint of self-irony, which is basic to great rock and roll, and therefore comes off sounding pompous. Ultimately, an album like Tommy, for example, must stand or fall on its quality as a collection of songs. The thematic gloss is absolutely secondary. Aqualung is the album's lead character, and is so named for his roomy cough. That's R-H-E-U-M-Y. Side 1 consists of a series of CD vignettes drawn from modern secular English life, while the printed lyrics are cast in Gothic lettering to emphasize the album's liturgical basis. The title song depicts the beggar in all his shabbiness and lechery. Aqualung is actually 3 songs. As the different moods of the narrator unfold, the music changes accordingly. The initial melodic statement sung in a harsh, surly voice is ugly and plodding. It then shades into something milder and more sympathetic, then into something which rocks a little more. Another of society's dregs, Cross-Eyed Mary the Slut. Remember, this is 1971.
Wow, that caught me off guard.
Yep. Cross-Eyed Mary the Slut of the song of the same name is the object of Aqualung's attentions. Anderson sounds equally disapproving here. I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah.
Mother Goose is the kind of song that Anderson writes best. As in Saucity, on Benefit, he uncannily captures the feel of a real Elizabethan madrigal. A consort of recorders here helps to get it across. It's a song about a Hampstead fair, and is filled with descriptive detail, which is at once archaic and up-to-date. Lyrics and melody mutually accomplish the same purpose, for both express the continuity of English life.
Continuity?
For both express the continuity of English life. Side 2, subtitled My God, deals more explicitly with religion. The nub of the issue is Christian hypocrisy, how people manipulate notions of God for their own ends. There is some rather obvious talk of plastic crucifixes, Blakean allusions to locking him in his golden cage, and invective, the bloody Church of England in Chains of History requests your earthly presence at the vicarage for tea. Beneath the accusatory tone is a moving musical theme. Again, the structure is constantly shifting. There are stately hymnal changes, a jazzy flute break, and Poppin's circumstantial motive which, when inverted, assumes a more chromatic modern queasiness. I'm feeling modernly queasy. The gamut of religious experience is encompassed in this song. I'm going to skip to the end.
Yeah.
There is something depressingly anticlimactic about it all. There is a lot of misplaced emotion on this record. Thus, despite the fine musicianship and often brilliant structural organization of songs, this album is not elevated, but undermined by its seriousness. Thank you, Ben Gerson.
Ben Gerson?
Now crawl back under your rock, sir.
Go away, Ben.
He was the one who wrote, shockingly, Jethro Tull's popular. Or something.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember. It must have been for
I think it was Stand Up.
Stand Up, yeah.
And he said something to the effect of, who needs it? Well, a lot of people, apparently.
Yeah, it was something similar to that. Very scathing.
Well, he's certainly changed his tune to a certain extent, although he has not cured his Sathoris diarrhea.
Oh my God. And you had to really work for it then, because you couldn't just Google it. He had to really want to be pretentious as all get out.
All those words.
Oh, fair enough. I worry that you're right. So what do you think, Omen? Do you agree?
He said a lot of things. I think that he... I'm basing this partly off of what Ian Anderson has said, where he denies that it's a concept album.
Right.
And I think that his analysis of the intentfulness of this record is maybe a little bit misplaced. I think that this is one of those albums that probably, Ian Anderson wrote some killer songs. They were in a certain mood. They recorded a great album, and then people, because this is what people do, tried to make meaning out of it.
Yeah.
And I think that Mr. Gerson has labored a little too hard in his efforts to make all of this cohesive under some umbrella of structured thought.
Yeah, it's like when you come up with your thesis for your paper, and
Right.
you have like the barest bones of idea of how to get to that point. So
Right, and it's already 3 a.m.
you stretch and you pick and choose and you ram every disparate idea into that paper that you can just to make it sound feasible.
You whack a big old metaphor in the middle.
Yeah. And no one's the wiser.
I do agree that the band has. I agree with his overall analysis of the band's trajectory. I think that Benefit did operate as the sort of underlying structure for what their musical style was becoming, and then I think that they capitalized on it for the next record and had a lot of success. Certainly,
It was a stepping stone. I'm not sure it needed such derisive, venomous comment on it. I mean, most bands evolve their sound, and you can generally see something of a trajectory.
Oh, of course.
If there's enough variation at all, like some bands are just all the same sound, but if there's enough variation at all, generally you see some sort of path there.
Right.
I don't think Ben Gerson was breaking news by making that comment.
No, certainly not. But I do think that he's correct in saying that the band has really arrived in their style.
Okay.
And that was something that we sort of said maybe 2 episodes ago with Aqualung, that this really is, everything has come together. Ian Anderson has pupated into a flutterfly.
A homeless butterfly.
A homeless butterfly. Yeah. So I agree with him on that regard. I just think that his analysis of Ian's takedown of religion is maybe a bit overthought.
Yes. Yeah.
But on the other hand, we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves because we haven't gotten to those songs.
And I think it's peculiar for the writing of this article. He didn't know any better, but we certainly do know the rest of Tull's work, and yet we have said, oh, wow, Tull has really found their sound. Ian has found his voice, and he's found the sound for Tull, but no album after this sounds like Aqualung.
No, but I think it comes down to confidence and...
Sure.
What was the word we were discussing earlier? Vulnerability.
That one.
And maturity. I think that the band and Ian have arrived in a place where they really know who they are.
Sure. Okay. I'll give you that. They went through the gauntlet and they're really at a spot where they can be comfortable and really gel together.
Right.
It's taken a little bit of situating to get to this point.
The music, the style, and Ian have been through the crucible, and all the impurities have been burnt off, and now we have a lump of pure Tullanium, and now we're going to see that shaped into various exquisite forms over the next 45 years.
Some forms more exquisite than others.
Some forms less droopy than others. Well, Nick, have we anything else to say regarding Cheap Day Return?
No, I don't think so. Like we said earlier, short song, so not a whole lot to say about it, but it is a great start to some of the more acoustic ones that we're going to see later on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nick?
Omen.
Do you like trains?
I mean, not particularly, no.
Really?
Yeah. I get motion sickness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
And I'm not terribly fond of loud noises, so.
Oh, I love trains.
Do you? Well,
Yeah.
they're your main mode of transportation.
Well, I like long distance trains.
Any other types of trains you like?
I like regional trains.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. I like the super fast trains.
Mm-hmm.
I like trains, Nick.
Omen, what are we listening to next week?
Next week, we are listening to Mother Goose.
Mother Goose.
She's going to tuck you into bed.
While you are waiting for Mother Goose in a week,
don't be cheap. Today, return to us the
favor
of telling us what you think about the podcast. Send us an email, write us a review, put some stars attached to that review. Name a star after us. If you work for NASA,
sure.
Name a star. Talk Tull to me.
Yeah.
I would go for. I'd take a quasar, frankly.
Any port in a storm.
Yeah. Any stort in a porn.
Well,
until next week, I am Omen Sage.
And I am Nick McGill.
We are Feckless Momes.
And this is Talk Tull to Me.
The next station is Talk Tull to Me, followed by a proud member, and points northward to the Feckless Momes audio network. All aboard!